Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I'm super excited for today's show. As you all are coming in, don't go anywhere. We have something very special for you. So, good morning, good afternoon, evening, whoever is watching this, and wherever you are, I want you to take a pause, a deep breath. I want you to close your eyes and reflect. Reflect on now, right this moment, taking away all distractions. Think of a place that makes you feel safe. Think of a place that makes you feel strong. Where are you? Comment below right now. We want to know who you're with. What do you see? Here at the Roundtable Remedies, we want to bring you real people, real stories, and our goal is to inspire, connect, and educate you. And today, we will be unmasking the special powers of these special superheroes that we have on today. And holding that moment of being safe and strong. These leaders, they had to endure some of the unimaginable. And in a moment, we will get to hear from them. So I just want to say thank you for watching this. Thanks for all your support. And without further ado, in speaker rotation, I want to allow our speakers just to say who they are, where they're watching, or where they're calling from. And we want to know where you're watching, so please engage. So Tiffany, please join us. Kedma, please join us and tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Absolutely. My name is Kedma Ough, and I am based in Portland, Oregon, originally from New York. And I am just honored to be here. I'm a fifth-generation entrepreneur, and I spend my entire life helping everyday entrepreneurs find hidden money, find grants, find financing, so that they can scale their company with less stress and more access to capital. So I'm privileged to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Kedma. Felicia?
Hi, I'm so excited to be here. The energy is like fire. I'm Felicia Romano, and I work with women-owned businesses, and I am so thankful to be able to be that conduit, that vessel that helps them get that dream out there in the world, make it happen, and build communities. So I'm really excited about what we get to share today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Felicia. Clarissa, thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be here. So I'm Clarissa Burt. I am the founder of In the Limelight Media, which consists of a video, podcast, and a digital magazine. It is intelligent media for the savvy entrepreneur. I'm calling in from Phoenix, Arizona, originally from close to New York, but a New Jersey girl. And I am really thrilled to be here too. Oh, you're in Jersey, I know you are. And I'm thrilled to be here too. Because we, what we do is we help so mostly women in their missions to promote their businesses and their services.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Clarissa. And it wasn't so long ago that we met, through the True Living, for the Summit to Success that they're having in a couple of days. So, I'm really excited to have you on, and thank you. And last but not least, we have my very best sister in the world, Miss Pastor Tiffany M. Williams. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for joining us.
Hi, Anthony. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here amongst these amazing superhero women. I'm Tiffany Williams. I'm in Los Angeles, but like Clarissa, I am a Jersey girl through and through and new to California. I'm a law professor and former judge. I'm a pastor, as you announced. And, my real passion is to help empower women to discover their life purpose and to launch it into a platform to help other women. So that's my life's work, what I'm passionate about, what I love. And I'm excited to talk about our topic today.
I am so excited to have you guys on this show, and you definitely deserve a round of applause. You are superheroes, and today we're talking about adversity. And so, what adversity have you gone through? And those that are watching, we want you to engage. We want you to comment. So if you can hear us good, make sure that you just, type in the comment section below. You'll see that we will shout you out. And so we like the engagements. And so adversity, what adversity have you gone through, those that are watching? And through our speakers today, our goal really is to push you to take the challenge. We've had a theme of take the challenge all month long going into 2021, and we've had some amazing speakers. But today, this afternoon, I am super excited because we have some amazing leaders, some superheroes, and let's jump right in. So I have the pleasure to bring on, my friend Kedma Ough. Kedma, we recently met, a couple months ago through Mike Peluso and the True Living Tribe. And, I just got a chance to learn about, your story and, how you became an author and how you were able to, transform others through your adversity. And I love the brand of the cape. So I got to ask you, can we open up with that? And for those that don't know, Kedma has an amazing brand, I want to say, and that cape, I'm sure, symbolizes so much more. So for those that are watching, tell us a little bit more about your story, how you were able to, go through your adversity, and of course, tell us about your superpower with the cape.
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for the space. My cape actually came about a few years ago when I decided I was going to get out of the closet. It was time to get out of the closet and really call out who I am. And I remember that moment vividly. And the reason I did that was because I actually lived out a real superhero life. And when we talk about adversity, the idea often is there's a misfortune. But what I want to say before I tell you my story is, to me, it's not a misfortune. To me, adversity is that you have the opportunity to gamify your life. And instead of being in kindergarten, instead of being in elementary school, you've been given challenges that set you up for college. So the challenges, of course, are going to be harder because you can master them. And so I found myself at a very young age in that scenario, age 7, age 8. I couldn't escape the environment. I wanted to, but I was too young. So I did what most kids would do. I started praying to God. Every day I would pray. I would pray in the morning. I would pray in the evening. I would pray in the closet, day after day, week after week, month after month. And at one point I decided there was no God showing up. There was no one showing up to save me. And I lived in that bubble till about age 18. At the age of 18, I entered into a community college. And one evening, sitting at the college, it was cold out. I received a 911 page from my therapist, and she never pages me. Essentially what I did was I grabbed my books, ran out of that college into the darkness, grabbed what I could, and I went to a payphone and I called my therapist. And the next thing she said, I will never forget to this day. She said, Kedma, you are in danger. He's on the way to the college. And if he finds you, he's going to kill you. That was my moment of realizing that this was no longer this was my reality. This was not a movie. I went back to the parking lot and I was already too late. He was there and he was already pacing back and forth. That was the moment I went into shock because nobody was there. It was just me, him, and his vehicle. And at that moment, I literally heard something in the back of my head that said, Kedma, you have to run, but I couldn't run. So there in the parking lot, I'm ducking, going from car to car to car. I finally got to my car, I opened the car door, took my books, retraced my steps, went back to ask for help. And at that moment, I would be homeless. And so that journey took me to who I am today. And I learned tremendous lessons, and I was gifted with a scholarship from the college, which set my path for 30 years to help every single person I meet. So why do I wear the superhero cape? 2 reasons. 1, to remind myself that I was there and I escaped and I became the hero of my own movie. And 2, to symbolize to other people that they're never alone. There's other people there to help them through it.
Wow, and I want to say thank you so much for sharing, that those vulnerable moments in your life, and it's really not easy to, come up here and share some of these moments. And so I feel your energy, I feel your passion, and I want to say thank you, and you're amazing.
Thank you.
Um, you know, we get real on this show, guys, and so that's the purpose of this. These aren't the your average superheroes. Superheroes didn't become superheroes from one day to the other.
Mhm.
And so um, when we're talking about some of these things, we do talk from the heart, and so it's very important for us to you know appreciate one another in that way. So I want to say I appreciate you, Kedma. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Felicia, I want to bring you on, and through the True Living Tribe, we got a chance to meet, and I've heard so many great things about you, and I don't want to take too much of your thunder in regards to who you are and what makes you so amazing, because you have an amazing story. And so before I go into your bio, I just want to bring you in and kind of just let the audience hear, a little bit about your adversity and who you are and what made you so amazing.
Oh, thank you. So I first of all, I want to say, Kedma, I was reading your book, and I read that in your book, and I was like drawn to you even more, and I realized that it's our stories, when we are vulnerable, when we can give voice to our experiences, that we're able to connect with people. And then when we connect, they can hear us, because we're coming from that place of, um, I get you. I see you. You're complete and whole where you are. And I am too, right? So I grew up in New York City. I'm a Bronx girl, okay?
Bro.
My family's from the islands, but I was raised in the Bronx. And my grandmother and my mom were from Barbados. On my dad's side, they're from Cuba. And we were raised in just humble beginnings, but I thought we had everything. And my mom was like she was my idol. I loved her. I wanted to do everything like her. And to be honest, when I was young, I didn't even realize what she really did. She seemed to do a lot. And she was always working. And then I became a teenager at about 14, 15. My mom said, you girls, I had a younger sister, you girls are big enough and old enough. And I think I want to go live with my boyfriend. And she was divorced from my dad when we were babies. So I was like, oh, what? It sounds like a joke. Like she was moving. She wasn't moving. We weren't moving in with her and her boyfriend. She was moving out to go live with her boyfriend, as if her life of parenting, like she had a choice and she could just stop. And I thought she really wasn't going to do that. To be honest, I was thinking like maybe she's just going to stay away for a little while, but she literally moved and we were left. And at that point, I really didn't understand anything about like systems. Like, if you're abandoned, could you be, taken by DCF, or, what happens to you? And I had my grandmother that was very close to me and, my model, but we couldn't live with her just because of space and responsibility and everything. So she said, this is what you're going to do. You're going to figure.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
we paused a little bit. I'm gonna take her down
Right in the cliffhanger.
right in the cliffhanger. But it happens. In today's day that we're living in, sometimes we have to adjust and adapt, right? And so that's another phase of being a superhero. So we'll come back to Felicia, and I think she's back on. So
Okay, awesome.
very good.
Oh my.
We're gonna come right back. I'm gonna message her on the side, so we want to make sure that we finish that story. But let me just share a couple of things about Felicia, and what made her so amazing while we're trying to fix that. And For those that don't know, she was assisting co-creating strategies with city mayors and school districts, superintendents in 3 different counties. Felicia helped Miami Beach parents take back the public park from drug dealers. She created and wrote a personal development program for neglected youth. And what you didn't get to hear, guys, is she has won funds from a $3 million grant award for the nonprofit she works with. So she is amazing. And I would imagine the energies of the world for amazing people when they're saying amazing things, just things always happen, right? When you want to do something and you're in the middle of something and you're always pushing through it, there's always a little bit of that adversity, right? So we're gonna bring her back on, guys. Don't go anywhere. And I'm sure she's been hearing us. So as I see her laughing. Okay, let's do it.
Hey, thank
Oh,
you.
please pick us up where you left off, because you left us on a cliffhanger and we
Sorry about that. Yeah, so my grandmother said, "You're going to have to figure this out." And I thought, I don't know what that means, but I was an A student. I was dreaming of the day when I was going to dance. I danced ballet, modern jazz. I was in the School of the Performing Arts. I auditioned because that's really what's my passion. And then I could see like everything changing. Like I didn't know what was going to happen, but the only thing I could do is just act as if, right? Like nothing changed. So we literally acted as if nothing changed while I tried to figure out, where can I work being so young? What can I do? And every day my grandmother would say, "Hey, go down to that store down and see if they were hiring at the grocery. And, maybe you can babysit." And I'm like, I don't even know like rent. And, then I find out about rent, electricity, all this, food, all these things. And we had to keep a low profile with maintenance with our neighbors. People started to ask, "Hey, where's your mom? I haven't seen her." And, they were being nosy, but I was just like, "Yeah, she works all the time." And, there's some things that happen in that time. You learn to go against your integrity, right? You go against your wisdom of being congruent with your actions and behaviors, because at that point, I had to lie, right? I had to not say that she left. I had to hold that in and create another story, because I didn't want anyone taking myself or my sister away. And I thought, like, God is, I know he's with us. I know he's going to open a door, but I didn't know how. And I guess we don't need to know how, which you learn later. But at that point, I wanted, like, how? What are we supposed to do? And I had an uncle. And at the time, he really wasn't, he had legitimate businesses and he had some illegal businesses. And he made a lot of money. And he said, "Listen, what I could do is I could rent this space," which was a closet, okay, in the house. "I could rent this space from you. And, but you can't touch it and you got to keep it locked." And I said, "Oh, wow, that would be great." And I said, he said, "So I'll give you a couple of $100." I was like, "No, no, no, no. It has to be." And I knew my numbers. So he had to cover all of our expenses so we could stay there. And, he said, "All right, what are you going to do with all this money?" I got plans for it. Because even he really didn't know like where my mom was or anything, So he's like, he just knew she wasn't there and he wasn't trying to like go help her. And then that worked for a while, and I think that was the beginning where I started saying to myself, parents aren't supposed to be like this. Parents are supposed to be there for their kids. Parents, I started thinking of all of these things, and I was making like this declarations over my life, what parents are going to be, but I was stepping into the role of being a parent to my younger sister, who was 2 years younger. And, that's a hard place to be. I'm 15 and I don't want her to drop out of school and she's confronting me. We're both, she's taller than me, by the way. And she's like, "You can't tell me what to do." And I have to keep reminding her, "I know you don't like this dynamic right now. I know you don't like this, but this is what we have to do. And this is how we're going to survive. We're going to do this. And you may not like me right now, but I love you. And I don't want to see you anywhere else but by me." So we're doing this. And if I have to get crazy, then I'll get crazy, but we're doing this together. And we did. And, through the years, I just was like, that's where I kind of knew that I had to do certain things, and I was making decisions on where my life would go. But after that point, going to college and getting married young, helping my sister with her college, living in I moved all the way to California. I was just like, I don't want to be anywhere near New York. I don't want to be connected until I had to allow God to help me find my way back, right? Find my way back to my mother. I was 30 years old when I called her and said, I need you to come and meet your grandson, who's now 10. You've never met him. I want you to have a relationship with him, regardless of what I've experienced with you. And I want to get to know who you are now. And I want you to answer questions. And I flew her to Miami. I lived in Miami at that point, and we cried it out. We yelled it out. We screamed it out. We talked. We cried it out. We yelled it out, And then we came to this place where I felt like my priority was to allow for a relationship between my son and his grandmother, and that I would not be blocking that. And that relationship needed to develop. And I started thinking less about me, my ego, and allowing that. And when I did that, I freed myself. And I empowered my other relationships. Getting emotional. But that was really how I started looking at serving. And I knew that I just had a servant leader heart. And I wanted to support other women. And I wanted to support parents. And I wanted them to understand when they become parents and they have this responsibility, they don't necessarily have to do it alone, even if they're single parents, but that if they connected with the right people, they could still remember their responsibility and accountability and take care of their children, be the models that they needed to be, and then support them in any way I could, and any resources I could connect them with, so that they would not leave and that they would stay there. So that's part of how I got into helping support women and nonprofits.
Wow. I feel that feeling of uncertainty in the beginning. Yes. The challenges that you had to go through, and the bravery for your sibling, and then that is remarkable. How many of us have felt that quote unquote generational curse? I don't like to put blame on guardians or parents. I think that we have to go through that adversity to become who we are, good or bad. I think that it's important to go through those trials, right? But I think that, Felicia, you are amazing. And I knew that when I heard so many things about you, and I knew what you were doing in the community, but I did not know your why. Mm-hmm. And your why was what was going to come out of this situation, how were you going to do it, and ultimately you were the one who did it. So, wow, that was amazing. Thank you. Our next speaker, Clarissa Burt, we recently met through the True Living Tribe, for the summit on the 16th and the 17th. For those that are watching, I want to welcome those that are watching again. Mike Peluso, thanks for watching. And when we were talking the other night and we were preparing this show, and you were telling me about your story and, how your travels to Europe and spending over 30 years and, as a supermodel and kind of using your role and motivating women and people in your area. And, you found those that were looking up to you. And I can only imagine how that made you feel in your transition, right? But you are amazing in what you do. And, this feeling may not be new to you in the sense of pouring into others. So please tell us.
Well, the first things that come to mind, Anthony, are in listening to, we're not even halfway through and I'm completely transfixed. I've been in media for a very long time, and I have interviewed a plethora of women. And what I love about each and every story is that, you know, there is a story behind everyone, right? And I think, first of all, the first thing that comes to mind is, I think that this is another one of the reasons why we just need to be kind with one another, because we never know where the other one has truly been, right? Yeah. If they've cut you off or they took your parking spot, or just blow it off, brush it off, say, please take that parking spot I was going to park in. I offer it to you, and move on. You know, just be kind about things, because people really, truly are either suffering or have suffered greatly. So I want to pick up from Kedma's story and say that I am now the national spokesperson for an organization called domesticshelters.org. Those are 3,000 shelters all over the United States that take in abused women and children. And there's a reason I do that, because in my background, there was also some, let's just put it, a very unhappy, place to live as a child. So we'll leave it at that. Today is also the 10th anniversary of my grandmother Clarissa's passing. So I come over to Felicia when I think of grandmothers and how phenomenal and fantastic they are, and how close my grandmother was. Even when I was living those 30 years in Europe, my grandmother was really my rock, and she was my grounding stone, if you will. She was where I could come home and plant some roots and know that there was some stability. So family being extremely, extremely important, I'm pretty sure, to all of us. And then if you're not blessed enough to come into this world with family the way we'd like for them to have been, much as Felicia's situation, then you create your own. Mm-hmm. And that's where church and faith and support in faith comes in really very strong into our lives, right? So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because it's, we're all so different, and darn it, aren't we all so the same? Yes, we're all so the same, So it doesn't really matter, what I've done in life. I'll give you a couple of my crowning moments is when I brought in a call girl to my home who was I was in Las Vegas, and she came to me and she was distraught, just very, very distraught. And I said, well, honey, I'm happy to take you home. I said, I'll take you in, and you're going to be living in Cave Creek, Arizona. And I go to bed at 8 and I'm up at 4:30. And that's the way well, anyway, long story short, is she came here long enough to get rid of the false eyelashes, the fake nails, the stripe down her racing car, the blingy license plate thing, and all the rest. And she came home to herself. Again, another girl that had no relationship with her mom. Well, after we were together for those 3 months, she went back to Vegas. I was a little trepidatious, but she went back. She became a waitress, met the man of her life, waiting on him at a table. She started her own business, lives in Dallas, Texas now, and is doing extremely well with her own salon as an esthetician. And I'll finish by saying this. 2020 was good to me in that I finally sold my book. And the book was picked up by Rowman and Littlefield, publishers out of New York City, and also on a global scale. And it was picked up by Recorded Books for the audio version. It's called The Self-Esteem Regime. And it's a way that I help women empower themselves through the look good, feel good, be good, and greater good pillars that we should all be living under in order to live happy, healthy, and esteemed lives. I'm very, very passionate about the position and condition of women, and I see them suffering in many different ways, on many different levels all over the world. And I think that's something we've got to put a stop to. So my book is really, it's a book, but for me, it's also a mission and a movement.
Awesome. And I want to say thank you so much. And, that story of you taking the call girl in, and, she wasn't the only one, but it was the one that came to mind first. I've taken a couple of girls in to get away from violent partners. I don't want to cross boundaries, but here on the round table, we get a little bit real and raw. And so I really want to know, where did that feeling or passion or desire come from to help those women that were in need? Not getting too deep into what you were alluding to earlier in regards to Kedma's story. But if you can share one or two main points that maybe someone that's watching can feel and go through and relate.
Well, I have a very strong sense of right and wrong. Extremely strong sense. And I think it works in my favor, and it works to my disfavor as well, because you're either going to love the hell out of me, or you're going to hate me to death. Because for me, you are either pregnant or you're not. You're not half pregnant. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? So right and wrong to me is something that lives very deep within the core of my soul. And I know that a man treating a woman poorly, or anyone treating anyone else poorly for that matter, is wrong. But let's go back to the core issue being abuse and domestic violence and domestic abuse. That's nothing right about that. There is nothing at all. If that relationship isn't working, you leave him or he leaves you, one of the two. But you don't lay around and sit around in the same household and beat the crap out of one another or let yourself be beat. It's not okay. There are people, much as Felicia said, that are out there, and as Kedma said, there are people out that are ready to help. They're willing to help. There are ways out. You know, I say get up, move on, and never look back. It is possible. You can do it. Many women have done it before you. Your story is your story, but not very different from many other women before you that have gotten up, moved on, and never looked back.
Yeah. And as you can see, the love is pouring in, Clarissa, and for the rest of the speakers, their love is pouring in. And, you know, we have hashtag discernment. You know, I love that. And I want to say thank you and continue to engage with us. And Clarissa, thank you for that heartfelt story. Thank you for getting real with us. And right from wrong, you feel it. It's in your gut. Do something about it. And don't just
Anthony, if you don't mind, just really quickly, for anybody that may need it, domesticshelters.org. Domesticshelters.org.
I put that up.
Just in case. Okay.
And any more plugins, please feel free to put in the comment section so that they can
thank you. Okay.
Comments or they'll see it on the replay. Real quick, if you're watching it on the live, I just want you to real quick just put live where you're calling from. We want to know. If you're watching on the replay, we'd still love to engage with you. Put hashtag replay, who you are, where you're calling from. You know, I have the privilege, you know, and you've been on our show a couple of times, Tiff, but it always feels like the first. And when I met you, non-coincidentally, right, we were looking for a new church, you know, and I feel everything that you're saying. I mean, from a man's point of view, you know, that feeling of abandonment, feeling of alone, feeling of insecure and unsecure. And when we were in search and we found New Life, you know, there was just something special about you, Tiffany. And with what you're doing with the Esther Project, with women all around the world, with what you're doing as a professor, as an attorney, with future attorneys all over the world, you are a mover and a shaker. And I want to say thank you so much. And I know you're super feeling Esther right now. So tell us who you are and what was some of that adversity that you gone through that made you the superhero you are today.
Yeah, well, thank you again for having me and giving me the opportunity to talk about what I feel most passionate about. And you know, Kedma has her cape, and I think my symbol is a crown, because I help women to reveal their inner queen of purpose. I believe that discovering your life purpose is the key to overcoming any adversity. And as a matter of fact, adversity births your purpose if you allow it. And so that's my story. I'm passionate about it because I have lived it and I am still living it. You know, I was blessed to have a very secure and comfortable childhood and growing up, and my mom is watching, love her and my dad dearly. So my adversity really started to come in the shock of, you know, when you grow up, like, oh, your parents love you, you're good at things, you're good in school, you get out into the professional world, and guess what? Everyone doesn't like you. Everyone doesn't think you're great. And as a Black woman in this country who is striving professionally in places that do not always recognize, you know, Black people as being worthy, that has caused significant adversity for me. Despite that, my faith has been the thing that has helped me to overcome the most. Because when you are being treated in a manner that's disparate from others, when you're working harder, when you are doing more than others and not getting the recognition, or maybe intentionally being knocked down. So that can cause your self-esteem to really be chipped away day after day after day. There is a lot of abuse that Clarissa is talking about, right? In the professional world that women have to go through. And women of color, statistics even show us in every major field, typically experience these things at even higher rates than other women. So my adversity definitely has come with having to being an overachiever, but having to realize that I am not my profession. That is a vehicle of who I really am. So my journey and the adversity that I've suffered has caused me to look deeper at who am I really. I mean, it was the times, you didn't read my whole bio, but when I've been on, people will read my bio and they see things like judge, having worked at the White House, having worked, for governor, for the legislature. But what you don't see, federal prosecutor, deputy assistant secretary of state in New Jersey, law professor, 2 universities. But there were several jobs along that way that I lost and I got fired from. So there were times when I was laying on my couch trying to figure out, as an independent woman, as a single woman who does not have a life partner, even economically, to be, a support for, how am I going to move forward? And it was at those times and spaces that God began to show me who I really was inside, and that I was so much bigger than being a judge, which is why I'm not a judge today, because I got to the point when I'm watching women come into my courtroom and I'm seeing those situations and I'm realizing that I'm actually constrained as a judge in the justice that I can give them. But I knew that through, my real passion, the Esther Project, empowering women to discover their life purpose and giving them the leadership tools in their own life to live out who they are on a platform, that could empower their life in a way that being a judge, I never could. So throughout my journey, I continued to just move forward, which is my message to those of you that may be going through adversity. There is a point sometimes when you just have to go forward. You may be haggard, it may not be pretty, it may not look good. I remember having to return back to my parents' house and live there for a season, right? Because of some injustices even that had happened to me and unexpected things. And it was embarrassing, but I had to move forward. And I can say that when I look back now, even that period of time was preparing me, because God takes the bad and negative things in your life and he uses them and turns them around for your good. So adversity in my life has been a preparation and a springboard. I now live in Los Angeles, where I had always dreamed of living, but never had, a plan and thought I could live. It's coincidental that I also have, I had to start dreaming again. My dream as a little girl was always to be a judge. So what happens when you are like in your 30s and you've achieved your childhood dream? You have to start dreaming again. So some of my dreams are tied to, being on television and creating content that empowers women on television and in film. And I have to learn these things. I have to make contacts. I have to start all over again. No one cares in LA about my professional successes, in the legal profession in New Jersey. I teach at a university here. They don't know me. They know a little bit about me, right? But I had to leave, which is another part of following your dream and your purpose. You have to be willing to go through the adversity of leaving your comfort zone So I gave up the things that I could have had in New Jersey, in the East Coast, working at a law firm in the city, making a whole lot of money. I had to leave that behind because I knew that my purpose in serving women, like Clarissa said, all over the world, and equipping and empowering women to use your purpose to learn about the struggles that women are going through in remote places, having the courage to go and to give hope to women who are in places who think that no one will ever come for them. So I'm building an institute through the Esther Project to raise up an army of women, of Esthers. And I use Esther, I'll close by just sharing a little bit about Esther. It's called the Esther Project because Esther's story recorded in the Bible, she was a queen. She was a young woman who became queen. She was the unlikely candidate. That's my story. Often overlooked, often underestimated. But Esther was the woman for that season, for that time. We are living in times where we have to look at our own significance here in the world and be bold enough to put our gifts out there. She did during a time when her own people, she was Jewish, were faced with a genocide. So she used her leadership position for something bigger than herself, and she therefore saved lives. So I just encourage anyone who is going through adversity or looking for just greater significance in your life, discover your purpose. We saw a great example this week on Wednesday of people who do not know their purpose and where that can sink you down into with the events that happen even in the Capitol. I believe that if every person that came there was a purpose-filled person, that would have been a whole different set of events. So you don't have a choice in finding your purpose. I think it's dangerous to not discover your purpose and live it out. But I've never felt more powerful and capable and confident than when I found my purpose and just resolved through all adversity to continue to live it out.
Sometimes truly it's your purpose that finds you.
Yes. You know, I posted about that the other day, Clarissa, that your purpose is so powerful. That's why I say you don't have a choice. It will literally create a path for you. I did not have the intention of moving to California, but the path broke itself open and literally drew me in. And I'm stepping into more of those opportunities in 2021.
That's awesome.
So in 2021, you know, there's going to be opportunities that are going to come. Are you going to take it or are you going to let it slip? And we're getting to the point of our show where we really want to give you all the opportunity to just share with us your final thoughts. You've heard some amazing things tonight, this afternoon, this morning, wherever you're watching. But the idea is, are you feeling empowered? Do you feel connected? Are you inspired? Did you learn something today? So speakers in the same speaker order, Kedma, Felicia, Clarissa, and Tiff, please tell us, you know, what would be your final one or two superpowers that you would like to pour into someone else that's watching right now?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone here because everyone has such an inspiring story. And I feel like we need to have a part 2 here for the next conversation. What I want to do is I want to speak to that audience member who's watching this and thinking, you know, you guys got your break. You got your break. You're on the other side and you don't understand what I'm going through. And I want you to know that I do understand because I will tell you something. While it was 30 years ago, it lives and breathes in who I am today. When I tell my story, I still feel pain. And sometimes people say, well, that pain's not good. You should let it go free. No, that pain is good because I will always resonate with that moment where I had to make a choice. And that choice was to live or to die. Not just physically, but to live inside of ourselves or to die inside of ourselves. And what I've learned through challenges is, first of all, anybody who comes to me with the most heinous challenges. And you know, I really resonated to some of this about domestic violence because when you're a child of that, you can't pick up the phone, especially you know, in the 70s, in the 60s. And especially if you're the eldest of children, which I was, my job was to protect my daughter, my sisters. My job was to make sure that the system didn't take us. So while people would come in, I was phenomenal at lying because I had one thing to do, one thing, to protect them so that the system didn't take us away. Wasn't ideal, but I accomplished that. So for those people, I want to tell you something. You don't have to walk away with inspiration right now because you don't feel inspired. You're in pain. You're in pain. But I want you to do one thing right now for me. One thing. I want you to choose one person from this message, from this forum, and I want you to send us a message. That's all. And it could be as simple as, I need to be heard. That's it. Because that's what we need. We need an out. We need someone to find us. We need support. And it's really hard. What I tell everyone, and then I'll move on. I'm so good at what I do, but I'm not a psychic. I don't know what you're thinking. So you have to make the first step and say, you know what? I heard you and I need help. That's all you got to do. You don't have to do anything else. You don't even have to feel inspired. But that sets the motion. That's what I call the domino effect. Sets the motion for other dominoes to play into your world and change the movie, change the scene. So with that, I'll pass it on to the next person.
That's powerful. I love that call to action and connecting. And I'm definitely open for anyone who wants to connect with me. I just wanted to mention something that Clarissa said resonated with me, and Kedma, and also Tiffany. I still want to call you Judge. Tiffany, that's how you introduced me. Tiffany Williams. So I was recently working with nonprofits that help rescue girls with human trafficking. And, my role is to help them create a narrative for the business, right? For funding, to create messaging that protects the girls, and to help raise funds that could help house them and give them skills, right? Employability skills and life skills. And I also wrote a course for that. And I've recently wrote a course for business plans for the girls that we're going to start doing next month, which I'm so excited about. But I'm saying this because sometimes people feel like, where do I connect so that I can even hold that vision for what my life could be? How do I know that if I see it, right, and I believe it, that I can achieve it? If I don't believe it, I can't achieve it. And I just want to say that word believe makes all the difference. You see it, but you gotta believe. And if you hold that belief and you just stay open with the question of, what would it take for me to allow this in my life? What would it take for me to get connected to the right people to support me? What would it take for me to get into the right position? What would it take for me to own my own business? I guarantee you that people will start showing up in your life with exactly what you need to learn, to get connected, to have an understanding, to get education, to get the resources. It happens. And I just want to leave you with one story. One of my clients owns a micro school, a small school. It's a private school. And it's an incredible model with high performing education. Every student, 100% graduation rates in communities that are marginalized. And she said to me, I don't have a business plan. And so we said, we got to work on that. And I said, have you ever asked for money? Because she wants to own her building. Have you ever asked? No, I don't know I don't know. I never thought about that. What do you need? That's another thing. You need to know what you need. Take the time to figure out what you need, and don't do it from a place of your situation or your circumstances, because then that's not going to allow you to really get what you truly need and what you deserve and your worth. Because if you're on this level and you're blocking that and you don't believe in you, you're going to block yourself from the other blessings. I guarantee it. Don't think about where you are today and start putting energy out there and saying, well, I just need to pay the rent. How about a mortgage? Well, I just need to be able to have a building. How about a school? And when she shifted her mindset to, I want to own this school, 1 week later, she got a check from an anonymous person who said, I believe in you for $20,000. Had nothing to do with that. It just had to do with her shifting the mindset. And there's more to come. So what I'm saying is that what I love doing is helping people. I'm not the person that's there working with the girls, right? I'm not the person that's there rescuing, because I think I would be traumatized and it would be really hard. I don't think I could help them. I'd be, all over the place, but I could help the organizations that help serve them. And I could help them do it in a big way, even when they are thinking based on where their current circumstances are. I could help them see a bigger picture and then get everything in place to make sure that they get that. And all it takes is that little spark. So just be open, ask for what you want, not based on your circumstances or your conditions, and allow yourself to dream big, like imagine big, and go for that. And then ask. Always ask.
Absolutely. You got to ask. Closed mouths don't get fed, people.
That's right. Thank
Clarissa,
you.
Thank you so much for that.
Well, first of all, I think that I would say to the ladies on this call, we need to have ourselves a pajama party. Because the four of us together might be able to do some very, very good for a lot of other people. And that would make my heart sing. The other thing I think that we need to remember is that, every adversity, everything that happens to you in life that you have to overcome, you one step closer to being a leader.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's the most important takeaway, I think, is that, yes, this all happened to me, and it happens and you get over that, and then something else happens, you get over that. But you know what? It's the stuff in life that creates strength and courage and character. And you can't be a leader, whether it be in your own life or leading others, unless you go through these things. These are God's way. I think it truly is God's way of again, creating courage and character and creating leaders. So adversity doesn't have to be a bad word. Right. Overcoming obstacles doesn't have to be a bad word. I mean, if everything was just so perfect and there was never a trip in the road, then God, that would be a little boring too, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be a little bit boring.
It's a part of the recipe, right?
That's right.
You add pepper to something and you think, I don't know, but somehow it tastes so good.
There you go.
Tiffany?
So changing your paradigm about adversity, it was also definitely something that I wanted to leave. And looking back now in life and looking forward in my life, it's not that I completely welcome adversity. I just view it differently. I know that there's something on the other side of the pain, of the stretching, that gives me hope to just hunker down and get through it and develop your spiritual core. For those that work out, your core has to be the strongest part of your body. And your spirit is your core as a human being. So whatever your spiritual beliefs are, firm them up. Know what it is that you truly believe in. And, I believe that I am just an invincible person in life because I believe I was created by the creator of this universe, and that he personally poured significance and relevance into me and gifts that are needed for now. So I don't care anymore about approval addiction and what others think of me. I strive to live with as a person of integrity and lean into what Clarissa talked about earlier, about that strong sense of right and wrong. and just let my path just continue to explode before me. And I put it into fifth gear. So don't be afraid. I used to be afraid of what was in me. Don't be afraid of what is inside of you. Let it explode. It's time.
You know, Tiff, I think you just
Amen.
talked to me right now. I want to say 2 years ago, I was going through a transition, personally, and, with your dad and your mom and the church. And I just said, I'm going to let it out and I'm going to let it shine. And this is what happened. So amazing things do happen. And you put amazing people together and you make amazing things happen.
Yeah.
And so before we let you go, I just do want to shout that we are putting a Journey to Success Summit together,
Yes.
along with the True Living Tribe, January 16th and 17th. And we have some amazing world-renowned speakers. You've seen 4 of them here today. And I'm super excited. And before I let you
We're
go,
excited. Yeah.
yeah, we are
It's gonna be
excited.
awesome.
Let's show some love for that. We put a lot of energy, a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice. Thank you all. Thank you, Paluzzo and Tony Doty, Dreammaker, for putting it together, along with Gary Krebs and Rick Frischman and the gang. So it's going to be a heck of an event, and you don't want to miss it. But before I let you go, we always like to close with the quote of the day, and I think Dreammaker would enjoy this. It's from his buddy, Diamond Dallas Page. The quote of the day is, there are 4 things that we can control and we have control over. Is how we react, how we adapt, how we breathe, and how we take action.
Love that.
And today, you just became a superhero. And I want to say thank you so much. This is Anthony Rosa, Mr. Remedy. This is the Roundtable Remedies. And you heard it here first. So go in grace and go in peace. Speakers, don't go anywhere. I'll see you soon. Just stand up tall, look them in the face and say, hope you enjoyed it.